There is so much more to understand in homeopathy. Like, for instance, just one thing of knowing to differentiate classes of diseases: acute, chronic, stronger dissimilar, epidemic, miasmatic, local diseases, stuff like that, stronger dissimilar diseases. All that is something that every homeopath has to know with every case. Because with every case you look at, the first thing you do before you start thinking of remedies or anything else is saying to yourself, what kind of case is this? If it's a stronger dissimilar disease, like what we call a never been well since, it's a different approach. If it's acute, it's different. If it's epidemic, miasmatic, it's different. So this is something we have to be very clear of.
I graduated 31 years ago, and I've been in practice my whole life. And I've practiced in Finland and in the UK, in New York, in Tel Aviv, in Tanzania. I know how to set up a practice. I know how to manage it. I know the ins and outs. I know what kills me. I know what makes me stronger. And I know what makes me lose my will to live and quit. So to stop all of those things from happening, I'm trying to give people, tools.
I have a law that says the similimum is a sequence, a harmonized sequence of remedies. You're not going to get the similimum ever, one remedy doing everything. But by harmonizing the sequence of remedies and the sequence of prescriptions in the most precise way, that is the art and science of homeopathy. Art and science is not in finding that first amazing remedy using all these fancy systems or whatever. That's not where it is. It's in...
Hello, homies, and welcome back to Homeopathy Hangout, where today we have not one, but two incredible guests for you, the one and only Jeremy and Camilla Sherr. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you. Great to be here again.
It's a huge privilege to have you both on at the same time. You're both past guests on the show, and it's amazing to have you back. I just can't believe that we get to squeeze in this chat on the back of your 3-month trip, going all over the whole world. Jeremy was just giving us a rundown, but maybe do you want to give us a quick rundown of all the places that you've been to and some of the things that you've done?
Sure, I will. I mean, we're in a hotel in Barcelona at the moment and heading home tomorrow. I'm right ready for that because it's been a long, long trip. Started 3 months ago. I was in Israel. We were both in Israel. I had a big birthday party there with my whole family because it was a round number. And
50 again.
50. And then we went to Berlin to visit my son and his family, and we had a wonderful time over there. And after that, we went to Iceland to stop there for a few days, which was really amazing. As soon as we arrived, the volcano decided to blow. So, it was kind of, we were wondering if we need to escape, but there was no way out. But so it was smoke and fumes, and a lot of the resorts were closed and people were evacuated, but it wasn't a big problem really. Everything was fine, and it's just an amazing place to sit in a hot tub in minus 10 degrees outside and enjoy the snowy mountains and something different. Then we went to New York. We stayed there, and that was New York, but it's ups and downs. It was lovely and great. We liked New York, like to be there. Bit expensive, so we had to be looking for sandwiches and to eat cheaply and stuff, but it was fun. And then we went in search of Camilla's swamp, which was Camilla wanted to see these bio swamps wherever they were. So that was another story. Do you want to talk about that? No. So, yeah, Camilla from the movies and the books had this desire to see swampy places, American deep south swampy places. And we looked them up in ChatGPT, and it kind of gave us the wrong directions.
It's all part of the adventure.
Do not ask ChatGPT where to go for swamps.
That's one thing we learned. So we went to, I mean, there were swamps there, but not the right kind of swamps, in North Carolina, but it was still nice and unique and different. And we saw some great estuaries. And then we did a long American road trip down, North Carolina, South Carolina, and they marvelous, places there like Charlestown, very unique, and Savannah, which was lovely. And arrived at Orlando, where Camilla had a seminar, which was very successful. And from there, we went to Costa Rica, amazing place, really wonderful. Saw a lot of nature, beaches, jungles, bridge walk, hanging bridges, and volcanoes and stuff like that. And our daughter's graduation, she was 18, finished high school there, so that was marvelous. And after that, we went back to England for a kind of short stop and a backgammon competition for me, and
Ah,
which is the most important. And finally, in Morocco, we went to a seminar in Caura, Morocco, which was very nice. A lot of people we don't usually meet in seminars. A big emphasis on agri homeopathy there. So Camilla taught, and we learned lots of things. So it was, partly homeopathic, partly pleasure cruising and seeing the world a bit, and it was great. Do you want to add some?
no.
No, I don't think so.
That sounds
But
amazing. And I'm very
um,
grateful because I don't think you're on Facebook much, but I'm very grateful to Camilla for sharing some photos every now and again. And I love the photos of
yeah,
you two with Alistair and Denise. And honestly, I would have given anything to be
well,
part of that
I'm also
conversation.
I'm grateful to Camilla to doing the Facebook because I don't do it. So, I'm not. Yeah, but you mentioning Alan Denise, yeah, that was also a very special part of our trip. Alan and Denise are very good friends, and we went to visit them in Philadelphia. And one of the reasons was that in Philadelphia, the archives, the hidden archives, I don't know that they're hidden. I thought of them as hidden.
Are they the
The
ones
thing
that's
is
in this
this.
hospital and you have to ask the people to access and there's this like hidden door or this
It,
unmarked door that nobody knows? There's all these archives. I'm trying to think, somebody on the
That's how
podcast
I
told me
saw it.
about it.
Yes. Yeah, but it's a bit shady. We've updated since then because I was there in the Hahnemann Hospital when it was the Hahnemann Hospital, and it had one room with all these amazing artifacts. Remember seeing, handwritten notes from Hahnemann and Kent and Nur and Herring, and I think Hahnemann's pipe was there, if I can remember, and all kinds of amazing stuff in a very nice little museum. Then all that vanished into the basement into a box, which I imagine to be like Raiders of the Lost Ark, when they stick it in a box among thousands of boxes. And you really did have to go and get a special permission to look at the stuff. So I was always worried about it, and I was hassling Denise, to go and save it and stuff like that. But the truth is, it has been saved quite some time ago in a very professional way by the university there. They have archived everything in very high quality conditions like the sub temperature, special files, all that kind of stuff, all cataloged neatly. So it's in good shape. It's not, you go there and you book an appointment and they'll show you around. It's not easy to access everything because you have to either sit there for days, there's so much material, which I think Denise has done doing a thesis, or you have to know specifically what you're looking for. But the stuff is all there and it's well kept, so that is good news. And we saw, all kinds of handwritten transcripts and wonderful stuff, and it was very impressive. And then we went off to Alan Denise's house, and Camilla's going to tell you about that.
That was completely amazing. I mean, I have total house envy. Their place is gorgeous. They have a fantastic garden. It's like in England, it's like English architecture. I love England. And the garden is beautiful. Al's done a fantastic job. Denise has a little pottery shed, like a she shed. I'm absolutely envious from here to Mars and back. I
Did you
mean,
give them some agri
gorgeous. So
homeopathy advice while you're there? Keep their garden nice and
um,
green.
not much. Alice already using agri homeopathy. We had really nice discussions about anything and everything, and really it was way too short. So I hope that next time we can spend much longer with those two. But they're having a big gala happening, actually, a charitable gala. I think it's next weekend. So if you are interested, go to their charity page. It's something like Hom,
Yeah.
HOHM,
Yeah, that
and
sounds
they
right.
have an auction and they've got really cool things that they're auctioning out, and all the money goes to their charity, which is, to promote homeopathy, give, access to people, all that kind of stuff. So some of our 4Rs and books and Dynamis and other things are there on auction and really good prices. So I think everybody should go and bid because we need we need to support homeopathic charities.
Yeah.
I don't understand a homeopath who gives money to UNICEF or gives money to anything other than homeopathy.
Yeah.
It should be, everything should be homeopathy based, whether it is, I'm not saying just our thing in Tanzania. There are amazing homeopathic charities, and Alan Denise's one is another one. And we support them and they support us. And we really need the community to step up and the community to say, no, I'm not giving to Oxfam. I'm giving to homeopathy, and then choose which homeopathic projects we want to support.
I love that. I love that.
Tell us something about Orlando in your seminar there.
You want me to talk about all?
Yeah, we've got
okay.
lots to talk about today. So let's just like get it all out there, because our listeners are here to like hear from both of you. So yeah, tell us about it.
Well, Orlando I taught Agri homeopathy for 1 day, and then 2 days, regular homeopathy. And it was really amazing to have a proper seminar with real people and not on Zoom, as it's been the case now for years, that all teaching happens on Zoom. So I think that the human connection is so invaluable. And it was so cool to just meet people and talk to people and hug people and touch people, all that kind of stuff that kind of got lost in the last few years. So it's really amazing to see how many people use homeopathy and use homeopathic remedies for plants. It's become really, really popular and big. And even if people don't have farms or even gardens, you can just use remedies on your house plants. And the fact how healthy house plants make the environment, and like having certain plants in your bedroom just eat up all the toxicity and the stuff from paints. And there's so much that we really don't know actually about plants. And in my book, I'm also looking at the relationship between plants. It's a known thing, companion planting. It's a huge thing, who goes next to whom. I mean, you go to a seminar and you see how people gravitate towards each other. We ended up talking to the same 5 or 6 people the whole few days we were in Morocco, I think, because that's just how it happens. People just find their friends and their buddies, and it's the same with plants. And if you plonk the wrong types next to each other, they're not going to like it, and you're not going to get good results or happy plants. So there's a lot, and there's a lot you can do with homeopathic remedies in terms of that. So you can give, instead of having those 2 plants next to each other, you can reinforce this one by giving this one to it in potency, if you can't find the plant or you don't have space for the plant.
I have not heard
it's
of that before. That's a great idea. Have you got a copy of
Yeah.
your book there just to hold up for anybody watching on the video? You don't? Oh no.
No.
Well, for any, because you
No,
haven't even
we've
said
been-
your
we've
book's name.
been-
It's called Beyond. It's called Beyond Organic, and the cover is absolutely beautiful. I haven't had a chance to look through the book itself yet, but yeah, for any of our listeners, if you have a friend who is really into gardening and natural organic gardening, or even beyond organic gardening, want to learn about agri homeopathy, go check out Beyond Organic. And have you got it on Amazon and everywhere else, or where do you prefer people buy
Yeah,
it?
it's on Amazon because, we live in Tanzania, so it's not an option to have 2,000 books printed and then send them out from there. So Amazon is,
It's a necessary evil.
convenient.
It's like Facebook or any of
Yes.
those. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's the case.
I'll say that, I mean, the first half of our trip, Camilla was working frantically to finish a book by Orlando's and neglecting me and my organon. But
Oh,
that was, yeah. I know.
boo.
The violin.
I was
Why
about
don't
to
I?
say, well, smallest violin playing for you.
That was well worthwhile because it got finished like a few days before the Orlando seminar.
I don't know why you're
So,
complaining. I happen to have also seen photos on Facebook of you and John Morgan on a boat somewhere cruising and talking about your book. So I think your book's getting some good exposure as well. Where are you at with
No,
your book at the
it's
moment?
perfect. The book came out beyond all expectations. Camilla was very excited. It's beautiful. And it was difficult because we couldn't get it printed in time for Orlando, but it doesn't matter. It's all there on Amazon, and it came out really better than I expected and better than Camilla expected. So it's really wonderful to see, and in record time too. I mean, it only took 2-3 years. It takes me about 8 years to finish any book, so it was very well done.
Well, hopefully it's not going to take
But
you that long for your Organon book, because we need a bit of an update on the Organon. And I know we're actually going to be talking
yeah,
about Dynamis today, but give us a quick little rundown of where your
I will.
Organon
I
book is.
mean,
And
it's
any of
an
our
ongoing
listeners,
project.
just listen to the previous episode where we had a bit of a chat about this. But where are you at the moment?
Yeah, it's, like as usual, it ends up longer than you expect. I already thought it would be finished like 6 months ago, and it's going to take another good few months, if not a year. But it's really very precise work.
Mm.
It's incredibly precise, and every word counts and make a difference. So, like, finished it 3 times in a way already, and then I decided, no, I want to look at it from a different kind of viewpoint, a bit more faithful to Hanuman, a bit more modernized there. So, it's all about the concept. It's like deciding, how much do I want to be word perfect? How much do I want to use a modern input, like, for instance, exchanging smallpox for corona, or, exchanging bloodletting for chemotherapy, but still always remaining faithful to Hanuman's main meaning and not missing anything or adding anything to his main meaning. So it's really delicate, which is why I'm on the fourth round already, 291 paragraphs. And it actually reached a stage that I couldn't see it anymore. I was like looking at it and like, blanking out on it. So it's actually really good. We had a long break with Agri and everything else. But Camilla helps me a lot with it because she can see it with more fresh eyes now. I've
Mm.
like lost it. Hopefully I'll be fresher now. But as soon as I'm getting back home, I'm carrying on with it. And I think it will be amazing. I know it will be amazing and really
Already
useful.
amazing.
It
It's
already is.
completely amazing. It's like one of those, the Organon is that's the key to everything, and it has an answer to every question in any Facebook group. And I see, your group and what people ask there, and the answers absolutely prominent people are giving is rubbish. It's just not true. And if people would be able to read the Organon to actually understand what Hahnemann is saying, everything would be so much easier because we wouldn't have to go on anyone's personal opinion about something, because Hahnemann is so unbelievable guy, unbelievable that he's put into 291 paragraphs anything and everything you want to know about homeopathy. And now Jeremy is translating it in a way that any idiot can read it and understand it. From any person who is, by idiot, I mean someone who is even like my daughter, who is 18, could just read it and understand it. Because right now, it's like the way the Organon is after a certain amount of paragraphs, which everyone reads, it becomes really difficult. And
It's
really,
very
even Jeremy
cumbersome.
and me, we sit and we say, what is he saying? Like, is he saying this? Is he saying that? And
Mm.
that takes up a lot of our time, to be, like Jeremy said, absolutely precise, and then making it into a format that is understandable.
Yeah, so, but it's coming out great. I'm really, really happy with it, and I hope that once I go over this fourth round of going through every paragraph, I'll be happy enough with it to publish it. So it should be out there soon, and it's really a life work. I consider it one of the main things I've done so far.
Mm.
So
Well,
yeah,
we're all excited. I can't wait. But
yeah.
you've got so many exciting things up your sleeve at the moment. I mean, I've seen your 4R things come through as well. And you've got the books, you've got HHA, you've got your Epidemics book. There's so much going on. But actually, what I really want us to have a chat about today is Dynamis. And I think many of our listeners will know about your 2-year like post-grad program, which I think has it been running for something like 20 years now?
Oh, more like 42, I think.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing.
No, it's actually 1986 I started. So it's coming to the
Wow.
39, 40 year. It's the longest running postgraduate course in the world. And because I taught it so many times, I mean, there were years when I would teach it up to 3 or 4 times places at once. So I must have done, that's where my confusion was. I think I've taught Dynamis, 50 and more times. But the thing is that it got potentized and improved and, polished with every time. And I learned so much from teaching Dynamis. So, it's really a very, very complete course that takes homeopaths and students to really to places of understanding that are not available anywhere else. I have to say that, First of all, the whole structure of homeopathy, how it's built, there are many, many insights beyond what we learn in school. People study in school and they study a bit of philosophy, year one, year two, Herring's law, inside out, law of similars, etc. There is so much more to understand in homeopathy. It just goes beyond, beyond, beyond. Also, different concepts, like, for instance, just one thing of knowing to differentiate classes of diseases: acute, chronic, stronger dissimilar, epidemic, miasmatic, local diseases, stuff like that, the stronger dissimilar diseases. All that is something that every homeopath has to know with every case, because with every case you look at, the first thing you do before you start thinking of remedies or anything else is saying to yourself, what kind of case is this? If it's a stronger dissimilar disease, like what we call a never been well since, it's a different approach. If it's acute, it's different. If it's epidemic, miasmatic, it's different. So this is something we have to be very clear of. And there are many, many other concepts in homeopathic understanding that are essential for the homeopath to know. Plus, all, understanding the periodic table in death, plus understanding, most important, I think, and what is most sorely missed in most educational establishments, is the second prescription, the follow-up prescription. It's a major, major thing. And most teaching is concentrated on the first prescription, the first case. Like, you get it or you don't get it, and if you get it, the patient falls in love and walks off into the sunset and wins the lottery, and all is cool, or nothing happened and you do it again. That's not the way it is. That's not the way it works. You have to understand how to take. Most prescriptions are partially similar, and you have to know how to take that and move on in the right way, not go back to step one. Move on with that to the second, the third, the fourth prescription. I have a law that says the similimum is a sequence, a harmonized sequence of remedies. Meaning you're not going to get the similimum ever, one remedy doing everything. But by harmonizing the sequence of remedies and the sequence of prescriptions, in the most precise way, that is the art and science of homeopathy. Art and science is not in finding that first amazing remedy using all these fancy systems or whatever. That's not where it is. It's in knowing how to use that sequence of remedies in the most precise way. So these are just a touch of the things, from the philosophy part of the course, but I'm also teaching Materia Medica in depth and lots of cases, live cases over a long term, so that we can see exactly how it develops live, with the good, the bad, and the ugly, when it goes well or not well, or medium. What do you do? All that is in cases there. So, 10 years ago, we filmed the whole course, and then spent 10 years editing everything very, very carefully in chunk-sized bites that are easy for people to digest, like 20 minutes videos, all cataloged very nicely, all indexed and professionally edited. And with that amazing set of books, especially thanks to Tina Quirk here, that are, printed with all the material laid out very, very nicely, so that you don't have to take notes and all that kind of stuff, and you can record you can revise the lesson wherever you are, and it's really handy and people love that.
Can I just say that this is like a massive, actually, it's a big point, because you can watch you'll go, okay, what does Jeremy say about second prescription or stronger dissimilar disease? And then you go to that video, that chunk of 20 minutes that he discusses it, or you find it easily in the books. And in the books, of course, I'm a learner that needs to write. I like to take notes. So to have that book is like homeopaths like books. So if everything is just online. But I think the combo, people love the combo, and they love it that we have also, like, regular Zoom meetings where we can discuss things and ask Jeremy answers questions.
Yeah, I have to say that although it's an online course, I think the students have more access to me than ever before, because I get questions all day long on the chat, and that's fine. I like it. And so I'm answering questions on everything all the time. And then we have live talks, every once in a while where we answer questions and teach any additional material that's coming up. So the feedback is amazing. People are really ecstatic about Dynamis, really, really happy. It's worked far beyond our expectations. And if people are doing homeopathy and you want to go to the next step, to really raise your game to the professional level, it's a place to go, in our opinion.
It really is.
Yeah.
I know many homeopaths that have done Dynamis, and all of them rave about it. I know Sarah Scott on my team did that. I mean, she qualified probably about 20 years ago because she was one of those incredible homeopaths that went to homeopathy school straight out of school. So she was like 18 when she started studying. And then after she did her training at the Irish School of Homeopathy, she then did Dynamis, and she did training with Manjula Vora and a few like other people as well. So that would have been about 20 years ago that she did Dynamis, and she absolutely raves about it. And it sounds like it's been even more improved now with all of the edited content. I was recently speaking with Liz Norman, and she was telling me just about how much work has gone into, editing all of the content and making sure it's really professionally filmed and that it's really easy. She was telling me about the platform that you use and how easy it is to use and having these bite-sized chunks. I didn't know about the workbook that you get as well, which is really, I really like a book as well. I want to be able to make notes and stuff. And I kind of get lost if it's just all online. So I love that you've got that physical aspect to it. And I was just speaking to one of my staff today who's training to be a homeopath. And I said to her, the second you finish training, just go and enroll in something like Dynamis so that you just have that ongoing education. Because I think homeopathy training, like we all have to start somewhere, but really that doesn't set you up to become a homeopath. Like that is just to give you like a basic little foundation. But the real work
It's like
really
you get a
comes.
driving license.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's a really good analogy, actually. It's like a driving license. The real work starts after that once you go into practice because, shit will hit the fan and you won't know where to go. And if you are not enrolled in another advanced practitioner training to have that ongoing development, then you are going to get lost. So I love that there are things out there like Dynamis, and I didn't know it's been running for so many years. I mean, it must be a
Yeah, it
50
really
M
has.
course by now. It's like it's been
It
potentized so much.
is.
It must be at least 50 M.
And that's what we say. It's like, if you want to get potentized, come to Dynamis. Because that's what
Mm.
Jeremy means when he says you're going to up your game. You're going to go from 200 to 10M or 50M. You really are, because the real thing in homeopathy is in case management. It's not about the first wonderful remedy. We all have those, and thank God we do. I mean, it's wonderful to see that. But then what happens when the remedy stops working? What happens when you don't, where do I go from here? Like Hahnemann said, the beginning was hopeful or wonderful, the middle was so, and then the end was like not so great. And that's when he went into chronic disease and all of that. And that's really where the game is at. Because if you want to run a practice, you need to know how to do second prescription. That's the name of the game. You need to understand what you are doing on a much deeper level.
And not just second, the
Yeah,
third, fourth, fifth, sixth. This is the thing that
yeah, but that's
I
what it
don't think
means.
we
Yeah.
talk about it enough. And I am really excited to see more homeopaths talking about the reality of practice, that it's not just that first prescription, it is the ongoing case management after that, that
It
really
is. Yeah.
is the
It
hard
means
slog. Anyone can make a first prescription. That is easy. It is the case management that is very hard and takes, it really
exactly that.
takes everything out of you. You need to think outside the box. You need to be able to know what to do if things don't go as expected. And, when your clients have aggravations or there's maintaining causes, or what is it that you're actually treating? You might be thinking that you're treating one thing, but then as you uncover the case, it's actually, something else that you're treating. So that
Exactly
is
that.
very
Yes.
important. Mm.
Yeah. There's lots more really important there, So, yeah, but 90% of teaching in the homeopathic world concentrates on the first prescription. The reality is that 90% of practical work is subsequent prescriptions and case unraveling. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And I think that one of the main feedback that we get from people who do Dynamis, and why actually alumni come back to do Dynamis again and again. I mean, we have people on their third or fourth round. I've done it 3 times. I've taught it twice. Every time you learn something more, because homeopathy is very, very deep and completely amazing and mind-blowing. There's always more to learn. So it doesn't matter if you're a beginner, it doesn't matter if you've been in practice for a year or 2 or 5 or 20, you will benefit from this because that's just how it goes. There is so much. There is so much. But what I was going to say is that what people say when they do Dynamis is that they get like, they feel like now they have order in chaos. Like they were doing things kind of like haphazardly, half knowing what they're doing, especially when it comes to second prescription, which by the way also means the 10th prescription is still called second prescription. But that they now have with Dynamis, they have like clarity. That's what it brings.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And do you do that as
But
a 2-year intake? So do you only do it every 2 years, or is it like a rolling intake, or how does it work?
So the way it works is that we have yearly intakes, and that's what we've started doing now. So it's like every October we have a new intake, but there is also a rolling intake. So if someone wants to come and say, hey, I want to do it now, I'm not waiting for a cohort, I don't care about any of that side of things, then you can start anytime you want. But most people want to have a group, or they want to have that kind of a, feeling that I'm Dynamis year, 2023 or whatever.
And do
Yeah.
you have assessments as well, or how, like, do they need to do an assessment before they can go on to the next lot?
So after each unit, you need to answer some questions. And then once you do that, then you can move on to the next unit. You can either do, at the end of it, you can either get a certificate or you get a diploma. And it's up to how much you do. It depends on what you get. So if you want to do the whole shebang, you get a diploma. And if you don't feel ready for it or you don't have the time, you don't have to, and you can always upgrade it later. It's totally fine, because once you start with the Dynamis course, you can stay on it forever. You can do it in 10 years if you want. You don't have to do it in 2 years. And all those live Zooms that we do, they will be available for the students for as long as one of us breathes, basically. So and longer, because they can access to the old ones, but it's ongoing thing, because Jeremy and I are very passionate about creating better homeopathy and better homeopaths. And that means that people who have proper support and who get good results at the end of the day. So we want to keep those Tuesdays accessible to our graduates, ad infinitum.
That
one
sounds
last thing
amazing.
about
I'm really glad
yeah,
to hear that, because I did wonder about that part. Do you need to do it within the 2 years? Because it's lovely to have that flexibility these days, because, we do
Yes,
get busy and, might
it
have a
has
new
to be.
baby or might have house. And
Yeah,
so it's lovely. I didn't realize that you have
completely.
that much flexibility.
Yeah, we've made it.
sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
our chairs are on completely different levels, so we have to be turning the computer around. So that's what we've just changed now. It's a new development that we've made it even more flexible. And also, we've also made the payment flexible, because people have different circumstances. So if you feel that, okay, I'm going to do it in 5 years, then it can be divided into chunks over 5 years. It's totally doable. So we want to be flexible on multiple different levels, exactly because of that. We want to create amazing, potentized, fabulous homeopaths.
Love that.
Yeah, and one of the other things that having Camilla on, because Dynamis used to be only me, but now that we do the live chats with Camilla, then she adds in Agri homeopathy questions, but also very importantly a section on business management, like, okay, how do you get that clinic going when you open it? How do you manage even finances with your patients, or keep records, or all kinds of stuff on the practice management stuff, which people really love that, because it needs that guidance.
Because it's, colleges these days, thankfully, they give a lot of advice, right, on how to actually practically do it. And some colleges are amazing at that. But then there are other aspects, because there's, the whole aspect of availability. How much do you let people, bother you? How difficult it is to not be part of an established system where you have secretaries and booking systems. So how do you do all of that on your own? So there's a lot of aspects. I graduated 31 years ago, and I've been in practice my whole life. And I practiced in Finland and in the UK, in New York, in Tel Aviv, in Tanzania. I know how to set up a practice. I know how to manage it. I know the ins and outs. I know what kills me. I know what makes me stronger. And I know what makes me lose my will to live and quit. So to stop all of those things from happening, I'm trying to give people, tools.
Yeah, that's a really important part of business is
Yeah.
avoiding the burnout. And burnout's a funny thing because I definitely went through that last year and I didn't realize I was going through it. It's only on looking back that I realized I was definitely experiencing burnout. And homeopaths always talk
Yeah.
about it and we're always like, watch out for it, watch out for it. But sometimes you don't even know that you're experiencing it. It's not until you look back and you go, oh, that's what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Exactly that.
knowing how to
And
manage, because it's a lot. I mean, it's very few of us that go into an established practice, or get paid by the hour. It's rare unless you're
Yeah.
going to work for a homeopathic pharmacy. I know one homeopath in New Zealand who actually employs homeopaths to work for her, so they get an hourly rate, but that's extremely rare. And so the reality is that
Yeah.
you do need to walk out as an entrepreneur, which is a completely different skill set to being a homeopath. So it's wonderful that you're talking about that.
Exactly that. And just the fact that, like what happened with you, Eugene, is that you go from, low, a few patients here and there, and then it explodes exponentially, or suddenly it's completely, full. And then a lot of people who reach that point, then they quit and they start doing art therapy. And that is a great shame after investing so many years and being such a great homeopath, then to lose it all. So, yeah, so that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. I
Anyway,
didn't know
that's
you do that.
Dynamis.
So you do all the philosophy, you do the Materia Medica, you do the cases, there's case management, and then the business side of things. You mentioned something about playing cases over a long period of time. Have you got recorded cases that you've done over years that you get to watch
Yeah,
as part?
I
Oh,
do.
that's
That's because
amazing.
in Dynamis, what I've always done is live cases. So, look, for any homeopathic teacher, it's very easy to bring your amazing, successful, wonderful, one bang cure, case and teach on video or on paper or whatever and show that in a seminar and everybody's impressed and depressed at the same time because they feel they can't do it. But, in Dynamis, because it's, originally like a 3 or 4 year course when it was live, then I would start with cases and do cases ongoing over the whole years of the course to see, what's developed after a year and a half, 2 years. I fully expect and want the remedy to change after the first year and a half. I wouldn't want it to be the same remedy all the time, but to do that organically. So all those cases that we recorded when we filmed the whole Dynamis are there over the long term developing, so people can see that.
That is
So that's
amazing.
there in practice as well. Yeah.
I remember when I
And the
was
good, the bad, and the ugly, like I say, when I miss, what do I do? Where do I go through from there? So when it goes pear-shaped, how do I handle that?
It will always, if you're long enough in practice, it will go pear-shaped.
Mm,
It's one of the defining factors of being in clinic for more than 3 years, is that it will start to go south. So then exactly that. What do I do then? What are my options? What is my plan? And Dynamis brings, and Jeremy is amazing at all of that, and it brings a lot of clarity so that you're kind of, the map, I'm here, these are my options, this is what I'm doing, and this is the way. So yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I think we've covered Dynamis more or less, and I look
Dynamis is
forward to
covered.
seeing everybody then.
Sounds
Yeah,
amazing. Now, do you want to give us a
yeah,
rundown on your book on epidemics? How's that coming along?
yeah. I'd love to because this is something I've done with Wenda O'Reilly's help in editing and organizing it over the last 2 years. And thanks to Wenda, it's gone much quicker than my usual books, which I take inordinate amount of time perfecting every word. So I'm really pleased it's out there. Look, in Dynamis, one of the important things I teach towards the end of the course is epidemics, the art and science of understanding and treating epidemics, which every homeopath has to be familiar with because epidemics are a fact of life. They come back. I know COVID was a whole man-made thing, but things happen either one way or another, and we have to deal with it collectively as homeopaths. We need that understanding. Mostly it's not there. I saw that in COVID, I saw that in AIDS, that people just prescribe for each case as it comes, share a bit of information. I had a good result with bryonia, with that or with that. That's not the real homeopathic way to treat epidemics. It goes much further than that. It goes to really a higher art of homeopathy, which is looking at the epidemic collectively as if one person. So, it's as if you treat a hive of bees and you're going to treat, bee number 1,278 and then bee 102,079. Actually, you're going nowhere. It's, helping one bee there or one bee there, but it's suppressing the queen bee, which is the source of the epidemic, where it all comes from. So it's really art and science to know how to take all the cases and see it as one, and then from that perspective, find the remedies that cover the epidemic. And they will be much more precise and much more successful, as well as making it much easier than to treat 10,000 cases a day, which is what we need to do when we do treat the epidemic. It's that big, and this can be life-saving because, okay, you have something slow like corona, relatively, but when you have something fast like cholera, which is still all over the world, and, kids die within 24 hours, you have to know how to deal with it in the most effective way. Hahnemann describes that exactly in the Organon, and then it's elaborated on by other homeopaths. And I I taught it for years, kind of concurrently with provings in Dynamis, because epidemics and provings are very similar. A proving is a man-made epidemic. So, which is why Hahnemann developed the whole art of treating epidemics as he developed his proving technology. So, one and the others go totally together. They're parallel structures. You do them in the same way. And I've done 45 classical provings, so I kind of know that area well. And I taught epidemics for many years in Dynamis. But the practical test came first with AIDS. When I wanted to find a genus epidemicus for AIDS, the group of remedies to treat AIDS successfully, the most important group. And for that, I thought, okay, I'll come to Tanzania and I'll see 500 AIDS cases and I'll find it. And when I saw 500, I decided, no, I want to see 3,000 to be more precise. And that's what I did. And after that, I could define a group of remedies that will cover 80% of the cases. Of course, it evolves and changes as the epidemic changes faces. But when we have homeopaths coming to visit us in Tanzania and they're treating AIDS and they don't have much experience with that, but still with this group of remedies, with this genus epidemicus, they are able to treat very successfully in a short time, which is what you need in an epidemic because, in a severe pandemic, fast-track thing, who knows what it can be, some kind of Ebola or anything like that. Even if it's man-made, you still have to deal with it. So you want to be able to teach the local health practitioners, the nurses, the priests, whoever it is, to treat very effectively and quickly and save lives. So therefore, you have to boil it down. Somebody who understands, who has the knowledge, and to this group of remedies called the genus epidemicus. Once you do that, it's easy. You can really handle 80% of the cases very, very quickly and very efficiently. So then after I did that in AIDS, and I got a lot of experience in AIDS, not only in doing what I taught theoretically for years, but also how to use technology, meaning, now we not only have repertories, but we have, webinars. What's the difference with webinars? I can collect information from the internet and from many, many people's cases in a very short time. So when COVID came, I had within a month and a half, in March 2020, I'd collected thousands of cases by then because we have internet. And then I was able to sit and work on it and bring it all together and synthesize it, both, on a physical level and conceptually and in many different ways. And within, a month and a half, I had a working genus epidemicus, which thousands of people, homeopaths, were utilizing from New York to Russia to, Europe, Israel, Ireland, South Africa, Australia. People were using this very successfully and very quickly. I was treating 30, 40 cases a day much more efficiently. And now with AI, that has even been upgraded, of course, one step both in terms of collecting information very quickly, sorting the information, organizing it, finding remedies. But you have to have the philosophy behind it. You have to know what you're looking for, not just find me a remedy for this case kind of thing. So
Or get
all
you to a
that is
swamp.
in the, yeah, that's all in the book, and
Mm.
there's a lot of information in there. Not only will you learn a lot of information about epidemics, but a lot about homeopathic thinking, philosophy. What is an acute disease? What is the real purpose of epidemic for the planet? Is it just a sickness? Has it come to heal something in the planet? And if it's going to heal something in the planet, take COVID, for example,
Mm.
in the first 6 months, the holes in the ozone layer closed. How does that bear on the underlying reasons for the epidemic and the remedies, both for the acute stage and the follow-up and the long COVID and the deep miasmatic reasons for the underneath? How do you bring that all into account? That means understanding. So even when it came to the vaccination epidemic, and I had to, the COVID vaccine, and I had to find remedies for the vaccine, I used the same kind of knowledge, bringing many, many cases together and, synthesizing that with the reasons and what's behind it and the finances and everything. And eventually came up with a group of remedies for the vaccine, starting with the scorpion remedy, the Indian scorpion, which a lot of people have used worldwide, but others as well. It's not only the scorpion remedy, which makes prescribing much quicker and easier. So there's a lot of, first comes understanding in homeopathy. Homeopathy isn't about coming and learning a bunch of remedies and how to repertorize a bit and some materia medica. First, understanding the technique flows out of that. So there's a huge amount of information in this epidemic book, and then we'll be finished it in a few months, nearly in print already. And Wendy's done a wonderful job with all the diagrams and the layout, and she's made it much more precise than I could ever do because she's really good at that kind of stuff, references and everything else, and editing. Then we hope to do, in this, the first book covers as a practical example COVID, and the second book will be AIDS and the
Oh,
genus epidemicus of AIDS.
amazing.
So yeah, that's a lifelong work in progress.
I think it's really important as you're talking, like it's really easy for me to think here in Australia, oh, we're not never going to have any epidemics here. So it's
Ah.
not information that I need to know. But the reality is COVID was man-made and it's not the last man-made epidemic that's going to be hitting us. I think we're going
But
to be
it's not
seeing,
only the man-made, it's not the last one for sure. I mean,
no,
they're
this,
looking for the next one. Just,
yeah,
where can we push the monkeypox, the polio,
yeah,
the Ebola, the Augsburg, whatever. But it's not
yeah.
only that, Eugenia. I mean, epidemics the planet needs them as a valve. They're a valve. If it was smallpox, polio, there were epidemics on this planet that killed 50% of the population in Europe within 2, 3 years, like the Black Plague and stuff like that. These things happen when the earth and the population need a valve. There's a reason, an underlying reason why it needs a valve, overpopulation, travel, all kinds of factors. But it could happen, I hope not, anywhere, let's say. I remember people at all stages when I taught Dynamis, they say, it's interesting, but we don't really need this. We won't really need this. I hope not, put it like that. But there's a very good likelihood that they will. But even if not just that, the standing of epidemic will enhance your everyday practice and your understanding of life itself and of health and disease. It goes way beyond just I need to treat that next flu.
100%. And this book, honestly, I had the privilege to read it when it was work in progress, and it was so good. I mean, I was it's such a good book. It is, there's so much stuff there that you want to know and you need to know as a homeopath that relates to homeopathy and not just to epidemics. It's a beautiful book. And if you ever want to show anyone, if you ever want to argue with anyone about any epidemic aspects, they're all in this book, from the history to the philosophy, to the practice, to the ones that we've lived through. It's a really well-rounded, fabulous, incredible book that every homeopath has to have in their bookshelf, without a doubt. I can't wait for it to come out.
I love
very
that the two of
exciting.
you are each other's biggest cheerleaders. It's so sweet. And I'm just wondering, have you ever shared like on a podcast somewhere how the two of you met?
We shared it a lot on,
Oh, have
with
you?
friends and people in seminars. I don't know if we've ever done it on a podcast, but I'm happy to do it because
Yeah,
it was.
tell us.
Okay, I'll tell you.
It's
I'll
because
tell you
it's so
my point
cute
of
to
view,
see you all like all these
Camilla,
years later. So the two of you are still so cute and like cheering each other on. So I love a good
yeah,
intro story.
What it wasn't, let me tell you what it wasn't, which is a common mythology, is that Camilla came to UK to hunt Jeremy down to find herself a homeopathic husband.
Oh, is that a story?
Oh yeah,
Oh, see, I haven't been
that's
around long
not
enough to know this, but that's
yeah, that was in a small puddle in the Dynamis that she was in.
oh, that's
But
funny. Us
the real
homeopaths are
me,
a funny lot. Hey, I think we like it like a good gossip story. So I can imagine that was
yeah.
probably going around.
Yeah. Well, it was difficult for Camilla at the time, and it was, but it's not the main story really. The main thing was that, and her group in Finland stole my video lectures and watched them. I watched them in a flat in Helsinki while drinking vodka and Smirnoff and whatever.
nice. Nice, nice, nice.
Okay, no. So I'll tell you what. So Camilla already knew me, right, from the lectures before she met me. And that is all true because she told me. But then she had just graduated and I was doing a seminar in Helsinki. And she was my translator because she probably has the Finn with the best English in Finland due to the fact that she did the exchange here in New Zealand when she was young
I
in
didn't know
school,
that. That's so cool, Camilla.
Yeah.
I lived in Wellington for a year.
Did you? Oh, I lived in Wellington for 2 years in the Windy City. It's a great,
Really?
yeah, I did. That's so cool.
Yeah, I love Wellington. Yeah. Yeah. So in Finland, in the early 90s, there were a lot of homeopaths whose English actually wasn't very good, who'd studied German. In Finland, you do Finnish, Swedish, and then a third language. So you choose from French, English, or German. And a lot of people had taken German or French and not English. So they were in those days when we had seminars, we always had simultaneous translation. I don't think it happens anymore. But anyways, I was translating Jeremy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened there, Eugene. You see, she was translating me, and she was as gorgeous then as she is now.
Oh.
So it was difficult to concentrate, but she kind of, after a few hours, ran ahead of herself. So when the people were asking questions,
It happened once.
it happened a lot. When the people were asking questions, she would answer instead of me. So the people started complaining in the seminar, we were asking Jeremy, not actually.
I'm like, Camilla, that's a really great answer, but why don't we hear what Jeremy has to say about it?
And let me tell you, that's continued ever since, as you can see,
But the answer was the same that you gave.
Yeah, she claims it was the same
It was
answer.
exactly the same. Of course, Jeremy has no way of knowing, but it was. I gave the same answer, and then Jeremy just said it in English. So
But that's how we met. So actually,
Oh,
what Camilla was saying before, we were kind of together, unknown, before Camilla came to hunt me down in Dynamis.
oh,
we
you're
went
making
to
me
Dynamis
teary. That's so
because
sweet.
I did not go to hunt him. I needed Dynamis because I was at that stage, I'd been practicing for 2 years, and what I could learn in Finland, it was finished. There was no one there who knew much more than me anymore, at that point. So there was nowhere that I could, I was exactly at that second prescription point where I needed more. And then I found out that Jeremy does he had a Dynamis going in London. So I started going there, and then the rest is history from there.
Oh,
Yeah,
and
so
now you've
she
got,
would
is it
arrive
two or
about.
three? Three, you've got three children. Hey, is it the
We've got three. I have
three?
three from a previous. So I have six, and we all have a wonderful extended family together.
Oh,
And Yeah, and part of this trip that we've just done was just, visiting everybody and seeing all the kids along the way.
Oh.
And
Because they're all over the world.
yeah,
It's hard
They're
when
all
they're all over
everywhere.
the
So
world. Hey.
it's so hard. And then,
Yeah.
but it gives us a great opportunity too to travel because you live in Tanzania and it's not your own country. It's not Jeremy's country is different from my country. So you need to go home and you need to also, I'm European. I need to get out of Africa every once in a while. I also need to get out of Europe every once in a while. And so, variety is great, but having kids all over the show means that you kind of always travel to visit family. So now we've had a great 3 months just exploring the world and, seeing insanely crazy places like South Carolina. It's gorgeous. It is exactly like that kind of unexpected fabulousness. So yeah.
um,
Amazing. Well, I hope you're feeling really refreshed after your travels because it sounds like you have a lot of work when you hit the ground running in
we have a lot of
Tanzania with
work, and
finishing those books
there's
and with
well,
HHA and with 4R. We haven't even talked about that, but you've got a
the
got a
4 art,
lot.
I'd like to say a couple of words about it. As I said, I taught Dynamis over 50 times, so I kind of know that. And my feeling was, very much, yeah, Dynamis is amazing, but for me personally, I need to break their boundaries to go beyond the envelope. And I've never really, I teach Materia Medica in depth in Dynamis, but there are many, many remedies that I hadn't done. So I started the 4R, and as I told you in a previous podcast, the challenge was to take every remedy in Kent and to see if I could crack it, because Kent elevated the Materia Medica, from Materia Medica develops in stages. It goes from proving, which is very difficult to read, and make anything out of, just pure proving. Then it goes into, let's say in chronologically into like Allen's, Herring's, a kind of clinical materia medicas and stuff like that. But Ken took it and extracted the meaning out of it. And he had a great insight into the meaning of it, sometimes subconsciously, sometimes consciously, but it comes across in the remedy, which is pretty amazing. So my challenge to myself was, can I crack the code of these remedies in Kent according to alphabetical order, so I don't just pick the low-hanging fruit and take every what it throws at me. And so far, I've done about 13 or 14 remedies. We're in the end of season 4. Remedies that I didn't know it really well, like Abis canadensis, abrotanum, all the A's we're starting with, and you know, uh, Ischelocitusia, and now I'm doing in the next one, Ambrogresia, and it's amazing the secrets that you can unravel from studying that materia medica. Then I take it and I incorporate into it, understanding the analysis and synthesis of symptoms, taking it to a higher level, the psychological level, putting in Chinese medicine understanding, you know, uh, looking at examples in history of people who may have needed this remedy and turning it into a whole round experience. So it's beyond my expectations of what I could do with these remedies. It's amazing. It's a challenge. I have to work really quite hard on each remedy to unravel the whole thing. But I'm so excited and happy with it, and it's a wonderful Materia Medica.
Wow. Can I give
What is, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was
Sorry.
just going to say, if I can just add one thing on that, if you haven't read Roger Morrison's clinically verified Materia Medica yet, that will be such a good one to add into 4R because he has done the most unbelievable job. I think that is going to be one of the most amazing Materia Medicas that any of us homeopaths can ever have in our desk. And I am loving his book so much. It's so much extra stuff in there from all the clinically verified cases that he's had that he's added in there. That I'm blown away by that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. And it's really great to have all these different ways of looking at materia medica.
Yeah.
I would say that what makes 4R really unique is that it goes into the blueprint of the remedy. So it goes into what is the inner, completely on the inside, and the magic of the remedy, and how that translates into, our Materia Medica. So the Kent is the starting point, and the fact that Kent cryptically put info in is really cool. But then Jeremy really expands on it in an amazing way. Now, Eugenie's listeners, maybe a 4R for free. So
Yeah, we
you
could do
could-
that, Eugenie, if you want, if your listeners needs the visuals, I think. I don't know if she does the visuals. No, we do have a podcast. We could send you a podcast of one of the remedies if you want for your
Yeah,
listeners.
absolutely. We can pop it in the show notes. And then, so is that kind of like a sample for people to watch?
No, we can
Oh,
give
okay.
you one remedy. We can discuss with you which one you would like out of what we've done, and we can give you a link to it so people can watch
That
it
would
at
be
home.
great. And we'll just put it in the show notes, and then people can go to give them a bit of an idea of what it is, because can you purchase it as a season or just as a single remedy, or how is it packaged?
As a season. So
As a
it's
season,
like
okay.
4 in 1. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. And can you give
Yeah.
us a rundown of where's all the best websites to get hold of, all your courses and everything?
So the best is dynamis.edu.
Okay.
That actually has pretty much everything. Then I
Okay.
have mine, Camilla Sherr Homeopathy, but even that you can navigate into from Dynamis. So I think best is you go to dynamis.edu and you will see
Okay, and then
anything
just
and
under
everything that's
webinars and
there.
courses, so dynamis.edu.
Yeah.
And then you've got the
Yeah.
4R and the 7R, and there's case studies and epidemics and
And the Dynamis school.
Dynamis schools on there as well. Amazing. So people can just go to dynamis.edu and then just navigate
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah,
Amazing.
exactly.
Have we missed anything?
Good.
We talked about 4R, we've talked about Dynamis, we talked about your book, we've got your book on epidemics, we've got the Organon. We didn't talk about HHA, but we do have an amazing episode for any of our listeners who haven't listened to the amazing work that Jeremy and Camilla is doing with Homeopathy for Health in Africa. And if you ever want to donate to a charity, that is a great one. I think I said it on the previous episode, but I am one of the best clients at our homeopathic pharmacy here in Australia. And a few years ago, they sent me a Christmas gift, which was a voucher, like a gift voucher, or like they made a donation to HHA on my behalf as a present. And I thought that was amazing. So if you have any homeopath friends and you don't know why to buy them, you can buy them a donation to HHA in that homeopath's name. So I thought that was great.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so we've got I think we've just about covered everything. I hope the two of you have like a lovely night's rest and that you have a lovely safe flight back home tomorrow. And have you got
Thank you so
somebody
much.
there looking after your house? Who's looking after your place while you're in Tanzania?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have.
You
Yeah.
do? Good.
Our
And are you
chickens and our dogs and
oh,
Chickens and pigs
yeah,
and kangaroos. What are they
and
called? The guinea fowl.
guinea fowl. Yeah.
guinea fowl? Oh, I love guinea fowl. They're my favorite.
Yeah. Love
Um,
them.
Well, have really safe travels, and I'm
Thank
so
you so
excited about
much.
this Dynamis, and it's wonderful. I had no idea that you could join in any time. It's wonderful that you're giving all these homeopaths that flexibility. So I'm looking forward to all these homeopaths that are going to be potentized to the next level from joining Dynamis. So thank you so much, the two of you.
And
Sure.
thank you for having us on the show. That's really,
Yeah, thank you.
really wonderful. And
Anytime.
we'll see you somewhere sometime. I'm sure we'll see you in person one day. Maybe you come to
Absolutely.
Tanzania.
Well, or you can come to Bali. We still have tickets left for August.
Yes, so Bali, do you want to say something about that? I just saw that yesterday.
Oh, we've got the Unleashing Homeopathy conference, so unleashinghomeopathy.com. And yeah, we've still got a few tickets left, but you're welcome to come. Reita's coming as well, Camilla. I know that you and Reita are very good friends.
We are.
Yeah,
We are.
she did
Yeah.
the most amazing cacao ceremony for us last year, along with Janie, and she's going to do that again this year, and I cannot wait. They're incredible.
That's great.
Sounds very
Sounds like a good trip.
yeah.
It's going to be
Enjoy.
good. See you
Okay.
too.
See you
Bye.
soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.